Welcome to the Wake Up Your Eyes free 4-part masterclass. And today we are doing the live corresponding to lesson number 3, where we're going to talk about how you can free your emotions to see clearly again. And this is part of a free 4-part masterclass, as we said, where you are getting actually $300 worth of value for free. I used to teach this information in weekend workshops, and people used to pay $300. But now, thanks to the magic of the internet and this educational mission that we have together with my team, we are delivering this information for free because we want for people to start taking care of their eyes and improving their vision naturally all over the world. And today, in the live of lesson number 3, we're going to talk about the relationship between emotions and eyesight. We are going to explain 15 plus eyesight symptoms. So very, very likely, we're going to talk about the symptom you have been experiencing up to now. So pay lots of attention when we talk about it. Actually, I would even invite you to take a piece of paper and write down the different symptoms you have, so that you can pay close attention at the information when it comes up. Also, we're going to go deeper on lesson number 3. We delivered a video a couple days ago, video number 3, where we explain the general ideas behind this lesson. But today we have more time, so we will go deeper on these topics. We're going to explain the symptom translation technique that will allow you to have aha moments, understanding when, how, why these symptoms appeared as an adaptation of your body to your environment and what was going on at the time. Of course, we'll have all those symptoms explained, including yours, and we will answer the most common questions that we receive when we deliver this lesson. We'll do our best to answer all the questions coming in the chat and also the ones that have been arriving in the past few days. And also, you will get to know other people who have had results with these techniques that we are sharing. We have them around here. So there's Natalia from the team, Ainhoa, who happens to have the same name as I do, right? Anna, Maria, Irina, Marisa. So we'll get to hear your stories, and in particular, how you could improve your eyesight and all the insights that you got when you understood the emotional cause, the emotional root cause that was behind. So thank you, all of you. And at some point, you'll get the opportunity to share your stories. Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue then. So you'll get to see, as I said, other people who have done it. And if they could do it, well, guess what? You can too. If I could do it, they could do it, you can do, because we're all built the same way. And you are part of an event that 4 million people have been participating in over the years. And on this occasion, we've had over 94,000 people all over the world sign up to participate. The group is bigger in the Spanish-speaking world, but that's what it adds up between Spanish and English. And we would love to know where you come from. Where are you watching this lesson from? And because we like to know how is the global impact that we're having. So you could type in the chat where you come from. I see that there's Becky Lavravia from Indiana. By the way, I stayed for 1 year in South Bend, Indiana in 1992. So I don't know if you're from those whereabouts, but anyway. And we have Elena from the US. We have Juliana from Montreal, and probably other people are going to keep writing. There's a little bit of delay. Oh, Becky grew up in South Bend, Indiana. Woohoo! The Studebakers place. Okay, so Juliana, we saw from Montreal, Marcia from New Jersey, the USA. We have people from Idaho in the USA, from Texas. Okay, great. And well, if you keep coming back, probably you've been wearing glasses or contacts and you want to get rid of them. We also have somebody else from Indiana. From India. Sorry, not from Indiana. India, very different. So I was saying you've probably been wearing glasses or contacts and you'd rather not use them or use them a lot less. Maybe you've had surgery in the past, or you're afraid of having surgery in the future and you don't want that. So if that's one of your cases, you are in the right place, because we're going to keep telling you how you can take care of your eyes and improve your eyesight naturally without glasses, contact, treatments, drops, or surgery. Yes, and if you know other people around you that have eyesight issues, you can, of course, share this information and spread this knowledge with them. Yes, so you can share all the links that we've been sharing with you, so that they can also take advantage of this free 4-part masterclass. And again, are you interested or engaged? Well, if you are still here after 6, well, probably we've been doing already, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours of content already. Probably you're more towards the side of the engaged people, right? Which is cool. So have your notebooks near so you can take notes and keep participating to all the lessons coming up. So I would like to know if you have watched so far lessons 1 and 2. There were the videos that were about half an hour, and we did the lives that were about 2 hours and a half between all the content we shared. And also last 2 days, we freed video number 3. That was the first part of this lesson 3. Yes, I would like to know if you have watched it. Yes, and I see Juliana is like, I'm engaged. I already bought my pinhole glasses and started wearing them. Yay! Kudos for you. That's amazing. Becky is like, yes, I watched everything. We also have Lavinia from the Netherlands. Okay, Stefan is, yes, I watched them all. Lavinia also watched them all. Great. That's great. So, and if you watch video number 3, where we started talking about the emotional root causes of eyesight problems, I would like to know if you already did identify the situation that in a way is keeping you from seeing clearly since then. Yeah. And if you have, great. If you haven't yet, well, don't worry, because today we're going to dive much deeper into this topic, and more people engaged mentioning it. Yes, absolutely. Others also getting their pinhole glasses. That's absolutely great. Okay, so if you did identify the situation behind the eyesight issue, what did you realize? Yesterday, when we did this live in the Spanish-speaking crowd, we got lots of aha moments and amazing stories. And actually, people were typing in the chat, and when people were saying how they realized that their eyesight started declining, that was opening other people's eyes that could resonate with that. So if you already have an insight, it'd be amazing to share it. And if not, again, we're going to explain a lot more about this today. And this is a great one. Do you want to see clearly? Do you want to see clearly outside? And also, do you want to see clearly inside? Because that's what we're going to be talking today. Yes. So if you want, let me see, I was reading here. So I'm very concerned about young kids starting at an extremely early age wearing glasses. In my family, 4 out of 5 kids are already wearing glasses starting from age 6. Elena, so you're in the right place, what you're learning here. And if you want to join the ClearSight Method advanced program, you're going to have so many tools to help your family. So you really are in the right place and have the heart well placed. And for those who are engaged and want to take the most advantage of what we're sharing here, make sure that you participate in all the 4 lessons and the 2 parts of each lesson. Today we're February 1st, meaning we already delivered 3 videos, 2 lives, and this is the 3rd one. Tomorrow we're going to broadcast video number 4, and there's going to be many surprises there, and including the possibility to register to the ClearSight Method Advanced program. The videos are pre-recorded. You can watch them whenever you want, and the lives are happening live. We also record them, but it's much better to participate live, just like you're doing. And there will be also another live on February 4th. These are the schedules, although basically it's the same time as we've been doing up to now, as we started today. Make sure you have the information right, so you take the best advantage of it all. Okay, and are you registered so you can get all the information, all the content, all the goodies? So if you're not, just make sure you click, you type clearsightmethod.com and you put your name, your email, so you make sure you get all of our communication. Yeah. And who is Ainhoa de Federico? Well, if you keep coming back, you probably know by now. I've been speaking about myself professionally, how I'm a professor at the university. I'm the director of the Diploma of Vision Coaches, how I got not only a PhD, of course, 2 of them actually, but a honorary doctorate. And I have talked also not only professionally, but how during my life, I have improved of 6 eyesight symptoms at 3 different moments in my life. And then I started researching all of this in depth. So I'm not going to explain that again. Okay, you already know that. But in case someone just popped up and arrived into this live in Facebook or YouTube and they don't know what this is all about, just a few words more on the side of my mission and my vision. Okay, because yeah, you already know who I am here, and I have shown you about what I know. I've shared a lot of my thought, but I'd like to share more about my emotion, what I feel, and the actions I want to take. So in 2019, the World Health Organization said that 1/3 of the world population had vision symptoms, although 80% of them were preventable or curable, which is what we're teaching you here, how to prevent them and how to solve them naturally without glasses, contacts, drops, treatments, or surgery. The World Health Organization also said that by 2050, it would be half of the world population. That is, not only vision problems are already quite high in the world, but they're growing very fast. And this is not genetics. Genetics wouldn't create such a big change, yeah? And so this was just before the lockdown and the pandemic, right? Research in 2020, a few months into the lockdowns and pandemic, actually shortened the projection to 2030. By 2030, which is in like 6 years now, half of the world population is going to have vision problems. And it doesn't have to be that way. This is where emotion comes in. I'm very motivated knowing what I know, that natural vision improvement and the ClearSight method are already backed by 100 years of research that offer a solution to put it out in the world so that people learn, people teach their families, and that we can stop this pandemic of eyesight problems, and that we actually transform it into a movement of clarity. Right? Like after Second World War, we learned collectively to brush our teeth, and so there's less people having issues with their teeth. And yes, now and then we, of course, want to go to the dentist, like we'll keep going to the ophthalmologist now and then, but there's so much more that we can do to keep our eyes in good health and keep our beautiful eyesight for life. Yes, so I am very motivated and moved by what's happening in the world in this field and want to take action to change that. Yes, and you can be part of this movement, of course, starting by taking care of yourself, improving your eyesight, improving your vision, and being an inspiration to your families. Yes, proving them that it's possible and leading the way so that they can also do it. Right? As Elena was saying, you're concerned by the kids. Well, if you do it for yourself, then you can teach those kids or the parents of those kids, and we can change not only our generation, but future generations to come to keep good eyesight for life. Yeah. And so this is what my mission and my vision is all about. My vision is to bring clarity to the world, and my mission is to inspire 20 million people to take care of their eyes and improve their vision naturally, to generate a cascading movement so that it becomes a widespread habit for everyone, and that in a couple of generations, everybody's doing it and almost nobody has eyesight problems. This is what I believe, what I want to do, what I want to impact in the world. And of course, also train 1,000 vision coaches with the university diploma that we have created, which is the first and only to date university degree for natural vision improvement professionals. So we want to train 1,000 of them by 2030. And we're so happy that for both goals, we have already achieved 20% of that. And we'll keep working with the team so that we can reach that and maybe more. And again, if you want, you can be part of the solution. You can be part of this movement to the extent that makes sense to you, of course. But let's bring hope to people. I hope that we've been bringing hope to you, but you can also bring hope to others. And that's why I'm not alone here. And there's also people from my team and some of my students that are very engaged in this movement, and they want to inspire others to do as much. So you can be part of it if you want, and it's beautiful to join the movement of clarity. And I'd like to know, actually, how is your vision changing? And not just your eyesight, with the lessons that we've shared and the tools and the sunning and the palming and all the other tactics and tools and exercises and practices. How is your vision changing? What can you see more that you didn't see before? How have you been inspired? Yes. And I'd like to see if there's some comments about it. And I see some some people happy about this movement that we're creating here. And I would like to invite the people that are here with me today. I see, for example, that in Spanish we call it tocaya. We have the same name, is nodding. So do you want to jump in, Ainhoa, and say a few words about how you feel about this vision, about this movement, and how it has impacted you and what's changed for you and maybe even for your family?
Okay, thank you.
Got to know the Wake Up Your Eyes and the ClearSight Method and me? Yeah?
Yes. I'm a student, like Ainhoa has told you, and I knew natural vision some years ago with Ainhoa, with the method. We are with the method, and I would like to share you my experience. I When I was 10 years old, I have myopia, and it was a drama for me because I thought I couldn't see. And even if I have very less myopias, using lenses and using glasses was terrible for me. My eyes were very dry, and it was a really bad experience for me. That's why I decided to use the laser, and I thought I had not more problems with my eyes, but I realized that the tension in my eyes, the myopia tension, was still with me. And I knew Ainhoa some years ago, so I decided to take the method and practice, even if I had my vision quite correct with the laser. I knew some people around me, like my sister, had problems with the surgery and started to see bad again. So I decided to have good habits in my eyes. And later on, 5 years ago, I started with presbycia, and I had the method, but in a hurry because it was a stress time. You know, we are speaking about emotions. In my job, I decided to take some glasses. So I went to the optometrist. She recommended me some glasses, but I couldn't wear the glasses on. It was horrible for my eyes. So I realized that it was a very stressed job for me in that moment. I decided to change the job, and my presbycia changed, and I was much better. And now, as a student of Ainhoa, I see very clear. And I also will like to share a little experience with my daughter. And when she was 4 years old, she started to feel very sad eyes, and always she was touching her eyes. And uh, the optometrist put some glasses for her with no dioptries. It wasn't any problem of um, like myopia or presbyopia or something like that.
No
Uh,
nearsightedness or farsightedness. Uh-huh. Yeah.
you know, and first she was very happy with her glasses because she felt better. But we decided to apply the natural vision um,
Mhm.
with her. I'm explaining this because there was a comment about children. Uh,
Absolutely. Alana, this is for you.
yes.
Yeah.
And after using glasses for 1 year, we decided to start with natural vision with her. And in less than 4 months, playing and feeling really happy with the method, she started to take off the glasses spontaneously, and she didn't want to take them more anymore. So I think she trust that her eyes could see again perfectly. And that was my experience with my daughter.
Absolutely. Well, my eyesight was improved when I was 6 months old. So it's one of my earliest experiences that actually it's possible.
Yes.
But we also have plenty of participants that participate with their kids, and they just need to tweak some of the practices to make sure that they're playing games with their kids so that it's fun and they want to do it. Like, for example, we can all play parrots, yes? And we wear eye patches and we play with balls, and then it's fun and we're doing it together and we are challenged by the same conditions, and we can giggle about it, and it becomes something enjoyable, and they can do it not like it's a have to do or a core or a punishment. And it works very well with children. If you trust what you're doing, if you trust the method, and you see for yourself already that you're seeing better, you can absolutely do it with kids. And I see Becky saying, I see less blurry and can see better up close just with a couple of lessons, with a couple of days, a few days that we've been sharing. So yes, it works. I understand that you had presbyopia, right? The need for reading glasses. Because I'm reading Juliana was asking what was your myopia prescription, or maybe that's what you got surgery from, right? In the beginning, you had surgery for nearsightedness. Did I understand correctly? So since she's asking, maybe we can answer.
My myopia prescription was less than 2 dioptries in each eyes, but
Inside.
it was how I was feeling,
Mm-hmm.
because I was feeling like it if it was 10 dioptries, I thought I could see nothing without my glasses or my lenses. So
Mm-hmm.
when I took them, I don't mind how many dioptries. I thought I could see nothing. It was
Mm-hmm.
like the
Mm-hmm.
feeling, um, and
And I get that. So you have a sister that also got surgery for the eyes,
yes,
and for her it didn't go that well. And that's something that happens. For some people, surgeries are okay and they get the result, although the tension remains in the eye, because for a myopic eye, there is tension in the oblique muscles, and that's not very good for the back end of the eye. It can cause problems with the optic nerve or retinal detachment or vitreous detachment faster. So if you can solve it the natural way, it's even better. And also, there's people that have issues with the surgery from the start, besides the expenses and besides the pain. Some people get floaters or actually develop cataracts faster because of the surgery they got, or keratoconus, or they have flashes of light, or itchy eyes, or things like that. So if you're going to do a surgery, better know all the risks beforehand so that you can choose if you really want to do it, knowing that there are other alternatives at hand. You wanted to say something else, Ainhoa?
yes. I want to share that nowadays sometimes I recognize like myopia tension when I'm very stressed, and
Ah,
now I have the tools to relax my eyes and to prevent that tension, because even if you make the surgery, the tension is still in there. So even if I don't have an myopia now, I can feel the tension when I'm stressed, and now I know how to relax that tension.
Yes. And by the way, congratulations for caring so much for yourself that when you were in that stressful job, you decided that you deserved better, and you could identify what the issue was and quit the job and get your eyesight back. Good. That's a
Thank
very
you.
courageous person. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. So Ainhoa told us about the connections that she could make between the myopia and stress, or nearsightedness and stress, between presbyopia, or the need for reading glasses that comes the quote, they say, with age, right? And the tensions that she was living in her life. Today, we're going to talk about a lot of eyesight symptoms and what are the usual emotional root causes for them. So today is going to be one of those days with lots of ahas, lots of insights, lots of understandings, and that's lots of fun. And I would like to dive directly into that. Thank you very much,
Thank
Ainhoa.
you.
But I have got a message in the chat from Natalia saying that she will have to leave us. And so I would like to enjoy her presence and participation before she has to go. So if you want to share something for people watching us about how this particular lesson, the implications or the connection between emotions and eyesight, has been something helpful and useful in your vision journey, in improving your vision for yourself, or what you have observed around you when you've been helping other people improve their eyesight.
Yes, of course. Well, I already told that I wore glasses from since I was 2 years old until I was 42 years old. And now, watching that period again, I realized that, of course, I practice natural vision and do the sunning and palming and other techniques you have already listened about. But I started to realize that there were also other things in my mind. Well, I know I will explain you later about the symptoms and its meaning, but well, in the lesson you have already seen that, for instance, hyperopia, that was one of my symptoms, was typical in the people who tend to run away on some situations. And I started to look into myself, and I was always a person who constantly changed jobs. I had a job and then another one and then another one and then another one. And it was a constant that I changed jobs a lot. So I started to review that things. Also, for instance, in relationships. Well, I didn't last too much. I and I it's something I had to deal with. I had to, but I started to realize about that things, and they really were like keys to work on, because you realize that the symptom is showing something about yourself, or is telling something. Look, Natalia, look at this. We look at these patterns, and for me that was really an aha moment. Of course, still working on it, but it was so important. And working sometimes with people, and we were talking about children today. Sometimes I see that some parents coming because they are worried about their children having myopia, for instance, and you see the mother or the father, and they are with their children, and don't do that, take care, don't do this, don't that, and they're constantly protecting them in an excessive way. You
Mhm.
say. So
They're creating the climate where the children become afraid because they're afraid for them. And so it's about the climate at home and the fears of the parents that are kind of projected onto the children. Children are very reactive to what adults feel. So that makes a lot of sense. Yes?
Exactly. These are things that we can see, and we start to match what is the symptoms show and the habits or the behavior they have. And it is really something amazing. And I'm sure that you are going to listen to Ainhoa and you will get, oh no. And that happened, that already happened to me also with presbyopia. I remember when I listened for the first time the meaning it has. I thought you were reading my life, man. Like, it was something that they say it is that way. Okay, well, don't panic. Be thank the information you are receiving, and then you can do a lot, and it will impact directly also in your eyes. It is that way.
That's great to hear you say that, because when I was hearing you become aware of the meaning of hyperopia, farsightedness, well, once you see it, once you are aware of it, once you put light and consciousness onto it, then it gives you choice. It doesn't mean that you cannot change jobs ever again. Of course you can if you're unhappy, but you can also give yourself the possibility to stay somewhere where you feel good and take the advantage of things that come in the long term, because there's also benefits in the long term when you're happy and you can stay in relationships or jobs or places long enough. So becoming aware of that gives choice and gives freedom. Then you don't have to be at the effect of things that happened in the past anymore. And when this happens, it brings clarity to your eyes, clarity to yourself, clarity to your life. And so then it has multiple benefits. So thank you so much, Natalia. If I see that you're gone, it's okay, you're gone. Thank you very much. And if you're still here, maybe I'll ask you to come in, to jump in again. So today I was saying we're going to talk about emotions and vision. And this may seem a surprising combination for some people, but I already said in the prior moment in the class, in a prior slide, that even the World Health Organization considers that 80% of symptoms in general, not just eyesight, but are due to stress. So if we identify the source of the stress and we change it, we transform it, we release it, then we don't need to have the symptom anymore, because the symptom was a signal, was a message or a metaphor, so that we could look into that and we could transform it and then be free of it. But specifically in the field of emotions and vision, there has been research since 1958. And I'm going to give you some of the highlights about it. Yeah. So who started with the research on emotions and vision? We already talked about Dr. Bates, right? And we explained how he was a pioneer of natural improvement. Yes. And okay, the pieces of the eye are a bit not correct. Okay, now. So Dr. William Bates advanced that besides the ciliary muscles that control the shape of the crystalline, so we can focus near or far away. Yeah, he was the one that said that the outer muscles also participate in focusing. So when we want to see near, the oblique muscles tense, yes. And when we want to see far away, the straight muscles tense, right? But if they keep permanently tense, yeah, so this is a myopic eye when it's tense all the time. And when the straight ones are tense all the time, it's a hyperopic or farsighted eye. And when they're irregular, it's astigmatism. And when it's the ciliary muscles that are tense, then we get presbyopia, or the need for reading glasses. So these were Bates's ideas, right? That the muscles cause refractive errors when they have too much tension. And also Bates was the first in ophthalmology to talk about the mental aspects of eyesight. He was a pioneer in that. Research in psychology and psychology of perception that is kind of contemporary with Bates was already talking about that in the 1920s in Germany, yeah, the psychology of Gestalt and perceptions of shapes. But in the field of ophthalmology, Dr. Bates was the first to say that vision is 90% mental and only 10% depends on the eye. And he had observed also that when there is mental tension, there is vision tension. And so when people are worried or stressed, they see less well. So he developed many techniques for relaxation, and he also went on inviting people to remember certain things and imagine certain things so that they would see better. Yeah. And of course, he was great and genius with all of this. But for me, the first who did specific research on the impact of emotions, specific emotions on specific eyesight symptoms, and dug deeper into this idea was Dr. Charles Kelly. And Dr. Charles Kelly was a psychology student who had been nearsighted, who had myopia, and he recovered from myopia or nearsightedness thanks to Margaret Dars Corbett, who was a direct disciple of Dr. William Bates. She had a practice in LA, a very successful practice, where actually plenty of actors and actresses of the time, very famous, came to see her. And she dealt with a lot of famous people, and among them also Aldous Huxley, the writer of A Brave New World. He's most famous for this book that a lot of us have had to read in high school, right, in our literature class. And he was nominated for the Nobel Literature Prize several times. And he had been blind because of keratitis punctata at the age of 16 and had lost, well, he was legally blind. And he recovered a lot of his eyesight thanks to Margaret Dars Corbett as well. And he was so happy about his eyesight improvement that allowed him to function without glasses for a lot of the time, and sometimes he would need them. But his eyesight improvement was one of the things that he was most proud of. Aldous Huxley, that he wrote a book called The Art of Seeing. And this is a book that you can find also on the internet, and you can check what I'm talking about. And so Charles Kelly also was helped by Margaret Dars Corbett. And having had myopia, he could completely recover from it. And because he was a psychology student and he recovered his eyesight from myopia, he decided to do a PhD on this topic, taking into account the ideas of Dr. Bates and taking into account ideas that he was learning in his psychology studies. So he went on to do a PhD dissertation with a collaboration between the New School of Social Research in New York and Columbia University, also in New York, the Department of Ophthalmology of Columbia University. So you see that we're talking here about institutions that have high reputation, not just in the States, but actually worldwide. And I'm seeing that my team is already sharing the reference of this PhD dissertation. I can show it here too. So if you want to look for it, you could find it. And this PhD dissertation was so good, was so good that he got the prize for the best PhD dissertation of the year. So we're talking already about very prestigious universities that are giving to this PhD the prize for the best research of the year. So we're talking about high quality information that we're going to share here. At the time, he became very famous for it, and he was featured in the New York Times and in Times Magazine, and he went to the radio and the television in New York and California. And so there was a lot of attention paid to this. However, we can see that up to now, the impact on how standard or conventional ophthalmology or optometry is practiced is close to zero, right? So, which is a pity. And he himself then went on to other projects and other ideas. So maybe if he had kept working on this for decades, the impact would have been bigger. But anyway, each person is free, and he decided to do other stuff. But here we're going to talk about the core genius idea of this PhD dissertation, yeah, so that you get the benefit from it. And we're also going to talk about other researchers that did extensions on it, including myself at the University of Toulouse. So what's the core idea, the core genius idea of Charles Kelly's research? Well, we already talked about how Dr. Bates said that a lot of the eyesight symptoms, the most common ones, are due to muscle tension. So myopia or nearsightedness is tension in the oblique muscles, and hyperopia or farsightedness is tension in the straight ones, and astigmatism is tension in the straight ones, but irregular tension, making the cornea and the eyeball look like a football or rugby ball instead of a soccer or basketball ball. And presbyopia, or the need for reading glasses, is because of too much tension in the ciliary muscles that control the crystalline. So far so good. Eyesight symptoms are due to muscle tensions. That's the part that Bates brought. And then Charles Kelly was studying psychology, and of course he had studied the psychoanalysts and Dr. Freud, and among the unorthodox psychoanalysts, the people who started following Freud but then went on to different directions, there's the theories and the ideas that Wilhelm Reich, a psychiatrist, I think originally from Germany, but that landed in the United States, developed. And Wilhelm Reich, among the ideas he developed, was that emotions tense muscles. And you can get a very practical example of that if, I don't know, your niece or nephew hides around the corner and you're walking there, and when you go, he goes, boo. Okay, for a moment you're jumping and you get some tension, and then you realize it's just your niece or nephew, so you relax again, right? It doesn't have a lasting effect. You can see also horror movies when there's a monster or an enemy running behind someone and they're like, right? You can see how their expression is all tense. And when we are subject to stress that is very chronicle, that is going on every day, like for example, if we are in an upsetting job, or there's someone sick, or we lose our jobs, or I don't know, there's things going on in life. And when we're subject to sudden stress or stress that lasts a long time, actually our muscles tense, and different muscles tense because of different reasons, right? And you can actually observe in the street, and you can pay attention. People who are happy have a different posture and walk different than people who are afraid or shy or angry, right? So you can notice how the emotions that we're feeling impact the muscles and our posture. So Charles Kelly took these two ideas together. William Bates is saying that it's muscle tension that is causing the eyesight symptoms. And Wilhelm Reich is saying that emotions cause muscle tensions. So what if the thing that is behind the muscle tension creating the eyesight symptom are specific emotions? And so he started working with this idea. And as we showed you, the PhD that he developed was specifically on myopia, nearsightedness. Well, not so surprising. That's what he had been released from. So he knew it from the inside, from experience. So he had hypotheses about what was going on with his own myopia, and he could extend it with the group that he was working doing his PhD. And he had very relevant correlations that he could find and explain in this work. So later on, well, actually that same year, there was another PhD in the University of California in Los Angeles, in UCLA, on the functional factors in myopia. And later on, Charles Kelly himself wrote a book that was more expanded and didn't talk just about myopia, nearsightedness, but also about other eyesight symptoms and other processes. The book was called New Techniques of Vision Improvement, published in 1971. And around that time, there was another PhD dissertation at the University of Colorado called A Psychological Approach to the Improvement of Myopia by Caroline Zager. So these ideas have been around for a while. I'm not inventing something since yesterday. There's been research about it for decades now. And one of them is extremely interesting. And this one was done by two optometrists, Martin Birnbaum and Kelly Thoman. And they published it in the Journal of the American Optometric Association, which is a very important journal in optometry with very high reputation. And the article is on visual function in multiple personality disorder. So, there's people who, well, have this disorder, they have multiple personalities. And I'm going to tell it in a bit extreme way. Of course, it's not like this, but to make it kind of very clear, to use a metaphor or an example, let's imagine somebody who sometimes believes that they're Napoleon, right? And sometimes they believe that they're Mother Teresa. Well, when they're Napoleon, they're nearsighted, and then when they're Mother Teresa, they're farsighted. How could that be? The same person having completely opposite symptoms in a split second when they change from one personality to another. Well, this is an example of how connected the eyes are to the brain and how connected they are to our emotions and our personality. So there's certain personality types or trends that are linked to certain eyesight symptoms. Your eyesight is telling you how you are behaving, how you are. And if you want to get back to clear vision, you need to transform your personality by actually letting go of that you are not and getting back to being authentic, being who you really are, who you truly are. So this is very interesting because now when we look into this information, not only it allows us to see clearly, permanently, because we're removing the root cause and we're not inviting our eyes to create again the same adaptive response to an environment. That's one of the reasons why people get surgery and they get back the same symptoms because they didn't treat the root cause, the emotional root cause. But also, when you look at this from this point of view and you remove the emotional root cause, you're happier. You live so much better. So it's totally worth to look at it from this point of view. Let me see, because I see that there's been a number of comments. Oh, it's the team actually sharing all the references. Okay, great. So there's benefits to looking at, multiple benefits to looking at the emotional root cause of eyesight symptoms. After Dr. Charles Kelly's research, there's been a number of other researchers extending and expanding this, and I mentioned a few of them, but one of them was Dr. Martin Brofman, and he published a book called Improve Your Vision that tells about lots of these ideas. And I'm mentioning this because I had the privilege and the honor to work directly with him for 7 years. I was the person translating absolutely all his workshops that he taught in Spain for 7 years in a row. And he always said how accurate my translation and so my understanding of his ideas were. He was always very happy. And I took these ideas together with another colleague at the University of Toulouse, Dr. Anita Meidani, who's a sociologist specialized in sociology of the body and sociology of health. And we have carried several research projects with these ideas. The first with 440 people participating, the second with 1,122, and the third with 2,190 people. So the statistical basis for this research is quite solid. And we've been able to reconfirm this hypothesis about what are the emotional root causes of different eyesight symptoms. And so today I'm going to present the main ideas. So again, if you didn't do it before, take a notebook, write down the symptoms that you have or that you have had, because we're going to apply these ideas to each of them. Yeah. The first thing that I'm going to teach you is the symptom translation technique. And this is something I learned from Martin Brofman. It's a very simple technique that is applied with just 3 questions. And when you ask yourself and answer those 3 questions, you have a very good possibility to understand what's the emotion behind your eyesight symptom. Yeah, I'm going to give you those 3 questions, and you can ask yourself these 3 questions for each of the eyesight symptoms that you've developed. Okay, so, and you could start chronologically if you want. Yeah, or from the oldest to the newest, or from the newest to the oldest, because from the newest you'll remember better probably. Okay, so question number 1, when did the symptom start? At what age or in what year? So that you can situate it chronologically. That's question number one. Question number two, what was happening? What was going on at that time? And this question could be about what was going on for you in your personal life, in your professional life, what was going on in your family, what was going on in your community, even what was going on in society. Usually we're impacted by things that are closer to us, but we've seen cases where there was something actually societal that created the eyesight symptoms. So you can ask yourself that. When did the symptoms start? What was going on at the time that the symptoms started? And the third question is, what does the symptom allow you to do or prevent you from doing? What does the symptom allow you to do or keep you from doing? And every time we're talking about eyesight symptoms, right, what happens is that you don't see as well, or that you see less, or you see blurry. You lose eyesight. And so what's going on then? Well, your body is creating that symptom to protect you from something that would have been more painful if you didn't have the symptom, because you would have had to see that thing which is painful. So in a way, the symptom is some solution that the body is finding for now until you find a better solution to the situation that doesn't involve having the symptom. Yes, am I making sense? Is this logical? Yeah. And of course, saying, okay, you have lost your eyesight, there's something you couldn't see or you didn't want to see or it was too painful to see, that's a very general answer, right? So now we're going to dive more specifically about which specific eyesight symptoms are related with which kind of typical situations and which kind of typical emotions. Yes, and this is the part that is going to be very revealing. Now, Firina, Maria, Ana, Marisa, before we jump in, any of you would like to share something? Yes, and then we'll make the list. So, Firina, all yours. Go ahead.
Hi, hello. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Uh,
It's okay.
my name is Irina Viveros. I'm from Veracruz, Mexico, and I live in the United States. And I'm 60 years old, and I want to tell you that I could not truly know or understand the origin of my vision problems until I met Dr. Ainhoa de Federico through my sister, who also had vision problems, and she invited me to register for Dr. Ainhoa's free mini course, Wake Up Your Eyes. And I registered for the course, and from the first class, I experienced improvement in my eyes. Then I took the advanced course, and the improvement were even greater. And I have experienced most of the symptoms that Dr. Ainhoa mentioned already, and that caused the pathologies in my eyes and even in my body and mind. And they created erroneous beliefs in me. So when I was 39, my family and I had the need to move into a city with very different ways of being people than what I was used to in my hometown, where
Mm-hmm.
everyone greets each other, they're friendly and hospitable. And
Mm-hmm.
so the difference was from day to night, practically. Everything that came from outside was rejected by them. It was for me,
Mm-hmm.
a shock for me. In addition, we were starting from scratch due
Mm-hmm.
to financial issues that we had been going through due to economic crisis in our country. Um, with teenage children to demanded expenses on fashionable clothes, studies, entertainment, and food, because at that age they eat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My husband started a new job at a university as a full-time professor, but his earnings were not enough. I was very worried and stressed and sad. I
Mm-hmm.
only thought about my children and forgot about myself.
Mm-hmm.
A year after we arrived in that city, we already at 42. I me already at 42, I developed cataracts in both eyes and had surgery. A year later, also, I developed glaucoma and high intraocular pressure, and my ophthalmologist tried me drops, but my blood pressure was still outside. Intraocular pressure was still outside the healthy range despite using 3 types of drops. I also developed presbyopia at age 45, and the doctor said I was too young to have, to have that symptom. So I had to wear reading glasses. In my routine vision checkup before taking the free course, my ophthalmologist told me that I needed surgery on both my eyes because my intraocular pressure was not normal. So almost at the end of the free mini course, I had another checkup, and my ophthalmologist said that the pressure had gone down and that we should wait for the operation. Already in the middle of the advanced course, I had another checkup, and the doctor said that the intraocular pressure had dropped even more, and that for the moment we would not talk about surgery. So from the first moment of learning about natural vision with Dr. Ainhoa, I have not stopped doing practicing the exercises, the techniques, and my eyes are no longer dry, irritated, or sore, and the headaches and flutters disappeared. So I read every day very well without glasses in my family. We have that habit. So whether in paper or on paper or digital, and I continue practicing daily. The results give me the security and peace of mind that I'm maintaining my eye and visual health. Visual health. So
Yay.
that has become a habit in my life, and I'm so happy for that.
Like brushing teeth, combing
Yeah.
hair, taking a shower, drinking
Yes.
water. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Firina. And I'm so thrilled, so happy for you
Thank
that
you.
with the advanced program, you have recovered so much, that you have avoided surgery. The other one was done already before we met. So
Yeah.
everything is getting better for your eyesight, and you could also make those connections and take better care of yourself,
Yeah.
and give
Thank you.
yourself a better space to live. So I'm really, really happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
So
much.
you see, Sirina did what she achieved. You can too. And thank you so much, Sirina. And the keys for eyesight improvement that come from this emotion lesson are very, very important for a lot of people. I know that my participants of the ClearSight Method, the advanced program, this is the level, this is the lesson. In the program, we go a lot deeper, and it's life-changing for a lot of them. So I hope you listen to this free buffet that I'm going to offer now with a lot of attention, because there may be pearls and diamonds in there for you. So we already said this. So let's go into these 15 plus symptoms explained from this emotional point of view. We are going to start with myopia, nearsightedness. So myopia generally appears in childhood. And what is the thing that happens? Well, if this is a metaphor of my personal space, with myopia or nearsightedness, I see clearly near, but I don't see well far away. So what am I doing with my energy? I'm retrieving it. Myopia appears in a time in life where people are afraid or they feel insecurity because of some change that is going on at that time. That's why they hide. It's a reaction to fear, right? What happens when people feel threatened? One of the things is that they hide. We'll talk about others in a moment. And what kind of changes could be related with myopia? Well, the first big change that produces a lot of myopia, and this is actually historically documented, is going to school. It is normal to go to school and everybody does it and it's compulsory. But the fact that it is normal and everybody does it doesn't mean that for the child going through it, it is a big change. Before, you're at home in a comfortable situation with your family, they're all paying attention at you, you're the king of the house, right? Probably you're spoiled also. And then you have to go in a place with a bunch of kids that are all the kings of the house. Yeah. And there's other rules and you cannot move and probably you have to be quiet. It depends on the types of schools, but these things could happen. And so it's frightening to go out there in a unknown part of the world where you're not treated like at home and when you're not familiar with people. So, and actually, historically in Prussia, not even Germany at the time, in the 19th century, when they started with the first compulsory system of schooling, then they noticed that myopia was rising. So it's very, very interesting. And so starting school is one of the reasons. Every time we change cycles in school, like from school to middle school to high school to university, every time there's one of those changes, could be a moment where myopia rises. Ending university, starting a new job, that also could be a stressful situation where the person feels fear or insecurity. And in family life, there could be other reasons to develop myopia when, for example, the parents are arguing all the time, or they separate, or they divorce, or somebody loses a job in the house, or a grandparent dies, or a pet dies. These are things that can impact children. They can start feeling afraid about certain things in life. Another moment where people develop myopia or nearsightedness is in their teenage, when the hormones start operating changes in the body and people have to start dealing with the politics of attraction. Do I like him, or does he like me, or he doesn't, or I don't? And things get a little bit more complicated there. Some people are shy and they're afraid, and one way to protect themselves is to retrieve and hide behind the good pair of thick glasses, so that they cannot be seen so much, and they have a shield to protect themselves from the world. Another moment where myopia starts is when women are pregnant and they're having their first child, and oh my God, is that a change in life to have a child and become a mom? And it's normal that some mothers can face that with a lot of love and joy, but also fear and insecurity. Am I ready? Am I going to be okay being a mom? Am I going to be able to take care of this kid? And sometimes it's not the first pregnancy, but the end pregnancy that makes it a challenge to have so many children at home. So you see the kind of situations that could be behind the fear, the insecurity, that generate myopia, nearsightedness, the need for that person to hide, to retrieve from the world and hide behind a pair of glasses. So if the emotion behind myopia is fear or insecurity, then what is the antidote? Well, trust, confidence, security. So if you've been nearsighted up to now, probably myopia started a long time ago and you already survived that by far. You're at a completely different moment in life and you have proven to yourself that you can deal with things, that you survive, that you're thriving, that you're doing fine, right? So you can give yourself some credit for doing it, and you can develop some self-confidence, some trust, and consider that, well, things are going to be okay, because actually most of the time things are okay. So you're fine, things are going to be fine. And if something comes up, you'll be able to manage it. You can handle things. Yeah. So this is important for myopia. And I have Marisa, Ana, Firina, Ainhoa that are here with me. If any of you had myopia and want to add a little note on this, we can do this. So tell Maria. Hello.
I have to say, first of all, the most important thing, I wouldn't be here speaking in public if it wasn't for the big myopia. Well, it wasn't really myopia, magna myopia. I don't know how it says in English, but it was big. It was very big, and it was really related to a fear of well, a problem of self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Yeah.
So every time I spoke in public, I
Mhm.
felt absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been impossible for me to to be here in a live session in front of anyone who can be connected all over the world. So I realized that I healed from that, and after I healed from that, my myopia was cut in half. So yes,
High myopia cut in half. From
I
doing
had
this.
I was wearing glasses with minus 6.5 in each
Mm-hmm.
one of the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And after I healed from all the feeling of being ridiculous, I could use contact lenses, which because I started using contact lenses to reduce the prescription, and I got to minus 3.25, minus 3.5. So yes,
Wow, that's amazing. Huge change. Congratulations. And you transcended the terror that you had of speaking in public, and here you are. And actually, it's not even the
here
first
I am.
time. So kudos to
It's
you
not
also.
even the first time. I've been speaking in public a few times already.
Uh-huh.
And well, there are so many things to say. It's just when I can actually I was a moment ago working on the screen on the computer. Even
Mm-hmm.
staring at the screen, I can feel the tension. I can see clearly the screen, which,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I couldn't see farther away from this with sharpness. And I can see the screen. And once I get some tension in my eyes and my neck because they usually get tense at the same time, I get straight
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. Then I have to do something else, even if it's for a few seconds, and it gets better. I start
Mm-hmm.
feeling worse, and then I notice and see better.
Ta-da! And plus, you also have tools like palming and sunning and things that help relax. But you can see very clearly the connection between getting stressed, getting nervous, and eyesight
Exactly.
declining. So now you have the warnings, and you
I
can
have
do
the
some.
warnings. I notice the warnings. I see better.
Yes, great. Amazing.
Automatic.
Yuppie. Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And so, Marisa, Ana, Tirina, Ainhoa, if you want, when I talk about other symptoms that you improved from, you can also say something. Yeah, Marisa, do you want to say something now, or it's from another symptom and we say it later? You tell me. You don't have sound, Marisa. I cannot hear you. Can you speak so we see if you? No, we don't hear you. So you need to fix something. So I'll continue with the explanation, and when you fix the sound, maybe you can talk again. So this is for myopia, for nearsightedness, and there's also people who develop hyperopia. Actually, Natalia was telling us before that she had hyperopia, and so being farsighted. And hyperopia is also a reaction to fear or insecurity, but this time instead of hiding, the reaction is to run away. So they say about no hide, fight, or flight, right? So this is the running away reaction to fear and insecurity. And so hyperopia starts at a time in life when you feel that it's not safe to be present. Maybe there's conflict at home and it's better not to be there, or things like that. And the thing is that people who develop hyperopia develop the tendency to run away. And so later on in life, they keep running away when it's not necessary anymore. So it's as if they cannot sit still and they don't feel that it's safe to be present and to stay. So these are people, like Natalia said, that are constantly changing jobs or constantly changing relationships or constantly changing places. And as I said earlier with Natalia, of course, there could be a moment that you want to make a change because it's good for you. But it's a pity when it's just happening because of a reaction to some fear or insecurity that isn't even true anymore, that doesn't make sense. If you're in constant running away, you cannot stay and develop the long-term benefits that you can get from certain jobs or relationships or career paths or living in one place. Yeah. So that's what's behind hyperopia. So if you've developed hyperopia, have a conversation with yourself and notice how it is okay to stay. It's safe to stay present. And of course, if it's not, you can go somewhere else, but don't make it just a tendency. And then when you allow yourself to stay, you can see what is closer to you again. Okay, now presbyopia, the need for reading glasses that appears with age, right? The too short arm syndrome. You have to put things further and further away so you can read them. So this is another kind of symptom that we can understand, making this metaphor of this is my personal space, yeah? And if I have to push things away to be able to see them or read them, oh, by the way, this is my cat biting my notebook. So if you have to put the things away to see them, what are you doing with your energy? You're pushing it away from you. You're not giving yourself energy anymore. And when does presbyopia appear? In our Western industrialized contemporary societies, it appears with age. And I'm putting quotes there because it's not a biological determination or a genetic determination. There's whole societies that don't have presbyopia, where people live long lives, like the Hansa in the Himalayas or the Vilacabamba in Ecuador. Anthropology tells us about it. But if you are subscribed to Netflix, you can see the documentary on the blue zones and the secret to living 100 years. And you're going to discover people in different areas of the world that live over 100 years. And guess what? You will see very few people wearing glasses in that documentary, even for knitting or doing cooking or reading or doing arts and crafts near. You can see old ladies that are putting the thread through the needle, and they can do it. Yeah, maybe you even know an older lady that can still do it at 80 or 90 years old. So presbyopia is not compulsory. Even in continental China, 30 years ago, people didn't barely have any presbyopia. So we need to understand what are those people or those societies doing right, so that they can see even at an older age very well near, and what are we doing wrong that we lose sight of ourselves. And what happens is that in those societies where people see well when they're older, they're actually appreciated for their experience and wisdom, and people come to them to talk to them with reverence, and they give them the best place to sit, and they're served food first. They're still important in their societies. Yeah, and what happens in the societies where people develop presbyopia? Well, sometimes we feel that we are outdated because technology is going so fast that our grandkids know how to use things and we don't. We're having trouble to find the buttons that we need to punch to have things work. Or in certain societies, after a certain age, you cannot work anymore. And what if you loved your job and you actually have a lot of experience on that and you would love to keep doing it? And it's as if they're saying to you that you're not useful anymore. Or in societies where there's an appreciation of youth, yeah, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you start seeing the wrinkles and you start feeling that you're less worth because you're not young. Or sometimes there's places where you would like to buy a new house, but now at the bank they're going to tell you that you don't have enough time to pay the debt back, so they're not going to give you the money for your new house. So people start feeling as if they have less options in life. They already got married, or they didn't. They got the children, or they didn't. Yeah, they did the job that they liked, or they didn't, or they cannot do it anymore. So, and these people start talking in ways that sound like, in my times, this or that. Well, guess what? If you're alive, your times are also now, right? So that's what needs to change. To get rid of presbyopia, you need to feel again that you're the main character of your film, and you need to make the rest of your life the best of your life. You'll need to find strategies for that, but it's important, because otherwise, when you start feeling useless, you start giving your energy to everybody else that's the main person now, right? The new stars of the film. My children, my parents, my grandkids, the neighbor, or children in Africa. And of course, there's nothing wrong about getting involved with other people and being helpful, but you need to make sure that you're first giving to yourself what is most important to you, that you make yourself a priority, that you give yourself the love and the attention and the care that you would give to the person that you're most in love with. That's what needs to change for people who have developed presbyopia. Yeah. Okay. So that's for presbyopia. Is the sound okay? I know Cirina, Maria, Ana, Marisa. Yes. Okay. Because someone in the chat was not hearing, but I guess Tricia, that's on your side because sound is working around here. Okay, now astigmatism. Yeah, we said that it's irregular tension in the muscles. And what does it mean from an emotional standpoint? Well, when people develop astigmatism, they have lost sight of themselves. They have a distorted image of themselves. That's what astigmatism creates, distortion in your eyesight. So what's happened with astigmatism, instead of being true to yourself, true to your beliefs, true to your what you feel and what you think, you start trying to conform to what other people expect from you. You want to be maybe a good daughter or a good son or a good wife or a good husband or a good father or a good mother or a good professional in whatever field you are. But the way in which people expect you to be that is different from what is true to you, and you're actually conforming to that. And on the way, you forget about who you are and you start making yourself believe that the thing that is not true is what you really believe or what you really feel. So when there's astigmatism, you have distorted your vision of yourself, you have distorted your own values, and you need to get back into being authentically who you are, so that you can see clearly again. And by the way, I have had myopia, presbyopia, astigmatism, and also amblyopia and strabismus that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So when I'm telling you about these things, I am in no way judging anybody that have had symptoms, right? We get them because we have sensitivities about how to react in life. Yeah, and we're doing our best. And when we get this new information and these new insights, it allows us to get back into who we are, which makes us happier. Yeah, and the prize that we get is that we see more clearly, which also makes us happier. Okay, so that's for astigmatism. I would love to read in the chat if you're having aha moments as I'm talking. And Ana, Marisa, if you want to, comment on this. I see that Ana has had something. Go ahead.
Yes, I could speak about my 3 symptoms and why I think they came. The first one was in school as a teenager, when you cannot handle with this new social thing that somebody likes you. Maybe this person, I don't like that person, and then I'm afraid, and I only want to hide and and avoid this situation. So I think this was the reason for me. Is I heard about that in the school, and I was really shy. Not so shy nowadays, but yes. And then I got the glasses, and as you have to go every year or every 2 years, it got bigger, more diopters. And when I was about to decide what I want to study, was another moment, difficult moment, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was too young. With 17, you don't know what you want for a life, and what do you want to be working for the whole of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had I had a cousin studying, and he was really admirated. He got a lot of compliments always from the family, and I follow his example. But well, it was not really something that I didn't like, but it was not matching perfectly to me at the
Mm-hmm.
end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was the moment when I got astigmatism.
Okay, makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the third symptom,
Eh,
sorry.
give me a second. So,
Yes.
because I didn't mention that, actually, with astigmatism, it's not just that you conform to expectations, and maybe in this case there weren't expectations, but you're seeking for approval of others. And you were following probably your cousin's example because he was getting a lot of approval and appreciation and
Yes. Yes.
admiration. So, yes, okay.
A lot of compliment. He was really good in his studies.
And so the third, you were saying, third?
And the third one is presbyopia, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it began when, well, I was looking for a long time for a work where I feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, security as a person with myopia sounds also logical. You look for some security in your life, stability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I was about 35, 36, I changed work to
Mm-hmm.
a place where it's really stable and secure.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, with time, I realized that it's boring.
It's very boring.
It's
Yeah.
boring. It,
Yes, I had presbyopia at a time when I was bored with my job too. And what the presbyopia is saying, the need for reading glasses, is that you feel as if the best of your life was already behind. Uh-huh. And that
Mhm.
what's ahead doesn't look as exciting. So, in order to let go of presbyopia, you need to make the present and the future at least as exciting as the past was and stop looking into
Yes.
the past. Exactly.
Mhm.
So, very clear. And now you've been able to
Yes.
transfer that.
Actually, I've realized today because I hadn't thought much about that.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have much presbyopia, just a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
I could, before I could see everything really near.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need at least 20 centimeters.
Okay.
It's still good to read. I can do my work.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yes, it's there.
But now you have understood something today, just
Mhm.
today. So
Today.
you have opened an opportunity for change.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm on the way.
Yes, yes,
I
but
am the way.
I'm saying is that you've been having presbyopia. It wasn't bothering you so much because you're still
Mhm.
functional at 20 centimeters or something, but you got the insight today. So this gives you information from today onwards to nourish yourself in a way that will allow you to let go of the presbyopia. So
Mhm.
not only were you here for others, congratulations, you got it for yourself. So now you got some nourishment to let go of the presbyopia.
Yes. And well, I'm happy that I'm in the certification because this is
Yes,
something I really like.
yes, I'm very happy
Thank
for
you,
you.
Ainhoa.
For us also to have you. Great, Anna, great. Congrats. Okay, so we've talked about myopia and hyperopia or nearsighted, farsighted. We've talked about presbyopia, the need for reading glasses, and astigmatism. And now we're going to talk about amblyopia or having a lazy eye. And I also have that. So that's when your brain does not consider what one of the eyes sees. Yes. And so, how do we understand this? If we cannot see half of what we could, we need to see what eye is the eye that is not seeing. Mhm. For right handed people, our right eye is what we could call the yang eye, the eye that sees what happens outside of the house, projects, will succeeding in the outer world. And because in many cultures and societies, the people who used to do these things, and maybe nowadays also, are men, our young eye could be also about how easy it is to see the important men in our life, our projects, our will. That's for right-handed people. For left-handed people, their young eye is their left eye. And the yin eye, for right-handed people, the left; for left-handed people, the right. When the yin eye is the one that is not seeing well, then it's about what happens inside the home: intimacy, relationship, care. And because these activities tended to be in many societies historically, in many cultures, handled by women, then when we don't see with our yin eye, it could also speak about having issues or difficulties or tension or stress with a yin figure in our lives. And who could there be? Well, a mother, a sister, a female spouse or partner, or a daughter. And for the male figures important in our life, it could be a father, a brother, a male partner, or a son, for example. Yeah. Well, nowadays there's also a lot more diversity, and there's also yang women and yin men, but you get the idea. If you're not seeing part of what you could, ask yourself if you're not seeing clearly your projects, your will, or a yang figure in your life. And if you don't see with your yin eye, you can ask yourself if you're not seeing clearly emotions, intimacy, relationships, or some yin figure that's important in your life. And very related often, especially in children, between amblyopia and strabismus. Yeah. So this is right eye, and this is another ball. So we're going to use it as an eye. So with strabismus, with the squint, the most common are the inward strabismus, or the going towards the outside, right? And they mean different things. With a child, when a child has convergent strabismus, then it's the feeling that the child feels guilty about the things that are not working well at home. Yeah? And the eyes are pointing at him. Something's going probably not well between mom and dad, and the kid feels guilty. If that kid has been you, well, you can let go of that burden, because this was a story between the adults. And if it's a child in your family, then you can talk to that kid and release that responsibility or burden from them, and let them know that it's the adult's issues, but he's not the cause or the problem why there's whatever tension. And when the strabismus is divergent, what happens is that for the child, in the child's perceptions, mom and dad are so different that the baby feels that if he's connected with dad, cannot connect with mom. And if the child's connected with mom, cannot connect with dad, because they're so different. There's as if there's a conflict of loyalty. So if that child has been you, you can tell yourself that whatever happened afterwards, of course, you were the fruit of the love between mom and dad. So at the time you were conceived, they were loving each other. And so that love makes it that you have the right to connect with both of them. You are inherently connected with both of them. And if that child is in your family, you can explain to them that they, of course, have the right to connect with both mom and dad, that they're, again, linked by love with this child. This is important, yeah? So that's for strabismus. With diplopia, people have double vision. And at the physical level, it could be caused by astigmatism, it could be caused by strabismus, it could be caused by cataract. But the emotional level, what it means is that the person is seeing two options and they cannot make up their mind which one to take. There's lack of congruency, right? And their head, their voices in their mind is telling them all the pros and all the cons, and it's difficult. They feel divided. And so to see clearly again, unified, you need to go down into your heart and let yourself feel what is the way in which there can be congruency again, so that you see things unified again in your life, and then your eyesight will follow. Cataracts, I think somebody mentioned cataracts. I think it was Tirina, maybe even Ainhoa. And so what happens with cataracts? Well, the crystalline becomes rigid and becomes opaque, and you could get surgery, of course, but you can also let it go with natural vision improvement. We've told you already about palming and sunning, and that's very helpful with cataracts. But from the emotional level, cataracts are a metaphor for closing the blinds of the windows. Yeah, if your eyes are the windows to the soul, well, you're putting blinds on, because you're not interested of what there is to see outdoors anymore. And I can imagine, Firina, if you went to live in an area where people wouldn't even say hello, what is there to see outdoors if people are not kind and welcoming? So
Yeah.
nothing there to. But when life becomes interesting again, then the cataracts can go away. So if you're getting cataract surgery, or they've told you that you should, evaluate in your life how interesting it is. A lot of people get cataracts, for example, when they get retired, but it doesn't have to be necessarily that situation. Yeah.
I didn't want to see
okay.
that people around me. Yeah, it was difficult.
Better put the blinds on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now that you know, you can change that, and you can have other strategies for it. Yeah.
I already forgave that people. So when I think about them, that it's not, it doesn't cause me a pain or
Anymore. Okay.
anymore. Yeah.
Very good. Very good for you. Okay, so that's for cataracts. And then we also can have, and that happens more often in older age, macular degeneration. Yeah. So the macula is, okay, let me show you. It's at the back of the eye. It's this yellow spot that it's in front of the pupil, and that's the spot that has the most visual acuity. Yeah. Where we have all the cones that allow us to see colors and details. And when we lose, when we have macular degeneration, what happens is that we lose our central eyesight. And so the metaphor is that we have lost what is most central in our life. And of course, this could be different for different people. For some people, it may be that somebody important has died, or their important relationship in life, their spouse, I don't know, they get divorced, or they lose a job. So if you have lost the central axis of your life, what is central in your life, you need to do something about it, and either repair the thing so that it's central again, or find something else that can be the central axis in your life now. But that's what's behind macular degeneration. And we've had, by the way, plenty of students participating in the ClearSight method, going back with the results of the studies from the ophthalmologists telling that their macula is getting better and better. So it's possible to improve. Now, with retinopathy, also there's issues in the retina, and they could be caused by many things like diabetes and other things. But usually the retinopathy actually affect more the peripheral retina, not the macula. And so the idea is a bit the opposite. The idea is that you're so focused in what seems the most important thing for you that you have lost sight of the context, that you have forgotten to go slow and smell the flowers. And so you need to broaden your view of your own life. And when you do that, well, the retina also gets better. Now, with glaucoma and high intraocular pressure, it's a bit the same. Glaucoma tends to happen first in the periphery, and people start losing their peripheral view until they get almost tunnel vision. Yeah. So what does it mean in your life? That you have developed tunnel vision. You're only paying attention at the main thing. And again, you've lost a sight of the context, of other things, other options. You're not going slow and smelling the flowers and enjoying the beauty of life. And even with glaucoma, the cause most commonly for glaucoma is high intraocular pressure, which means that you are living life with pressure, with too much pressure. And you need to release and let go of that pressure. So this is another reason why all these relaxing exercises like sunning and palming, and of course alternating them to pump the excess of aqueous humor from your eye, are helpful. Also because they make you relax. They make you take time to go slower and enjoy yourself. So this is important if you want to let go of glaucoma and high intraocular pressure. And Firina also had it, right? Mentioned. So it makes sense to what your experience has been.
It's exactly what I felt, and that's what happened. And yeah, I was very stressed. That caused me that. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So thank you. I'm seeing a couple of questions. So Lorraine is saying they say cataracts can return after surgery. How is that possible with the new lenses? Well, they do say, and I've had students that came because of that, that even with the new lens, it gets dirty, or other layers of the capsula of the crystalline get dirty or opaque. So for me, you really need to address the inner root cause, the emotional cause, so that the cataracts don't come back. And when you do that, they don't, and they even it becomes clear again. And Caroline is asking about the emotions behind diplopia, and I actually just did a moment ago, because we talked about diplopia, double vision, right? Diplopia, double vision, that's when you feel divided, when there's two options and you cannot choose. So you need to go to your congruency of your heart. Caroline, I invite you to watch the beginning of the video if you missed the first part. So let's talk now about vitreous detachment and retinal detachment. Vitreous detachment doesn't necessarily have to affect eyesight. Most of the time, fortunately, it doesn't. And they tell us that it arrives with age. And the question is, what are you having to detach from? And as we age, sometimes, again, we lose jobs, or people start getting sick or dying, or where our body is not as functional and we cannot do certain things that we did before. So it's a process of grief and detachment from things in life. If you are handling it well, then it's all good. But if it becomes complicated, and if grief cannot be processed, well, that's what's usually behind the retinal detachment. When you feel that something has been torn apart in your life. And very often this is linked to the loss of someone very loved, very important. And it could be because this person dies, but it also could be because there's a huge conflict and the relationship is lost. Or it could be because this person goes to live far away, and even though there is no conflict, but they're not in our lives anymore. So there's a very big feeling of loss of the relationship. So if that's the case, you need to do the grief, or you need to repair the relationship in some way and allow yourself to be nourished from it. Now, eye fatigue, it's very easy. What are you fatigued of? What are you tired of? What are you bored of? Was it Anna that was telling about this, that you got a very secure job, but it was boring? So that's also what's behind eye fatigue. So when you feel it, what do you need to stop? You need to change activities. You need to do something more fun or more interesting, but you need to pay attention at what your eyes are signaling to you. Thank you, Anna. Okay, so that was eye fatigue. We also have dry eye and watery eye. Water and the tears in this case are a big metaphor. Liquids and the tears in this case are a big metaphor in the body about our handling emotions. And when it's in the eye, it's really literal, because what do we do with tears? Of course, they keep the eyes moist so they can function, but we cry when we're sad. So if you have a dry eye, you have held your tears at a moment when you were sad, and maybe you wanted to show strong for somebody else. But at some point, you need to make space to cry those tears. And if you have a watery eye, well, there's an ongoing sadness that you haven't been able to handle and give completion or conclusion to it. So that's what's behind these symptoms. And of course, if you yawn and you blink and you laugh and all the other things that we said, it will help with the moist in your eyes. But look at the metaphor, at the message. It's very important. Now, if you notice, we've gone beyond the 15 that I promised, so I'm here over delivering. But I want for you to know about the most common eyesight issues, so that you get those keys and you can change something about it. So when you get itchy eyes and conjunctivitis or pterygium, at the physical level, the causes are different, but the emotional level, there are different degrees of the same thing, which is there is some form of thing that irritates you. Anger is behind these three symptoms. And the longer you have them, the more it means that you have been holding on to that anger, or being repeatedly in situations that make you angry. And with a pterygium, actually, there's a tissue transformation already happening in your eyes. So it's something that becomes structural in your eye. And that pterygium often is more common in societies where there's social injustice or violence or gender violence or things like that. And more people have that. And so it's something that is seen as structural, structural anger or structural injustice. Okay, myodopsies or floaters, these flying things that we notice sometimes. Well, first you need to know that this is normal. It's part of the regeneration of the vitreous humor. But if you have a lot of them and they become bothersome, if you have a lot transparent ones, it could be a sign of vitreous detachment. If you have black dots, it could be a sign of retinal detachment. And that's a moment where you need to go quickly to the ophthalmologist. Retinal detachment does require surgery and anchoring it to the anchoring it again. But after that, natural vision improvement can help you so much recover your eyesight. And so when there's floaters going around, just the floaters, it means that there's many things that are bothering you, like flies and bugs and things to worry about. So when you look into that and you release those worries, so those conflicts, and there are no things bugging you anymore, the floaters also tend to go away. Okay, photophobia, sensitivity to light. The light is, the sun, which is the source of light, is an archetype of a shining figure. It's a very powerful figure, right? Very empowered, a source of light and energy. And so we get photophobia when either there is a very shiny, bright figure around us that we find annoying, that we feel overpowered by them, and or when we are not owning our own power, owning our own light and shining bright as we are. So when you solve that, of course, with sunning also photophobia goes away, but when you solve that emotionally, photophobia also goes away. Now, styes. There are these grease balls that can form in your eyelids when the meibum or the sebum glands get stuck, the ones that create the little fat that goes into your tear. And so if they get stuck and the ball is forming inside your eyelids, every time there's a ball created in your body of whatever substance, it means that you're holding on to something and you're not expressing it, you're not releasing it. So you could see what it means when it appears in your eyes. What thing is so hard to see or makes you so uncomfortable, and at the same time, you're not saying something about it or you're not releasing the situation. So that's behind styes. Keratoconus. With keratoconus, it's an issue with the cornea. By the way, keratoconus, the number one reason we developed keratoconus is when there's been some kind of surgery for a refractive error, transforming the cornea, for example, for nearsightedness, and it becomes thinner. And the keratoconus makes that the cornea becomes more pointy until it breaks when it goes bad. By the way, scrubbing your eyes also could create keratoconus, so you don't want to do that. And in terms of the emotional meaning, the cornea is the most powerful lens in the body. So when the cornea breaks, it means that we're losing our power. We feel as we're powerless, and that is very painful. So when we solve that, that helps also for your cornea. Now, color blindness. People most often confuse, for example, red and green. And colors have meaning. Colors reflect certain areas of our life. For example, red is related with fear or security, and green is related with love and acceptance. So people who mix up green and red often mix up love and security or trust and confidence. They think it's the same thing. And when that is clarified in their consciousness, they can distinguish the colors again. And I've had cases of that also happening among my students. And with blindness, what's the issue with blindness? When that blindness appears, when there's a pain that big that you'd rather not see anything rather than seeing the world with that thing that is so painful. And I've also had students that have improved a lot with the starting point of being blind. And I like to give here the example of Ray Charles, and there's a film about his life. And it's very interesting to know that when Ray Charles was a kid, he witnessed his younger brother dying. They were playing together near a bucket full of water, and the younger kid fell into the bucket full of water. And he was also very little, so he couldn't interpret the situation. He thought his brother was playing, and the brother drowned, and he had done nothing for it. So when the adults came and were all panicked and in terror because in pain, they blamed him immediately for the death of his brother. And that was an excruciating pain and guilt that he carried on for his whole life. And it's not surprising that shortly after this accident happened, Ray Charles, for no apparent reason, lost his eyesight. So you can see how all these may have talked to you. We've gone over many symptoms. I don't know if Ainhoa, Cirina, Maria, Anna want to add something else. I see Ainhoa, and then we'll answer some common questions about these emotional root causes. Again, go ahead, Ainhoa.
Yes, I wanted to mention that when you have spoke about pterygium and styes, in 2011, my nephew died with 6 years old, and I was so angry, and it was so hard for me to see that situation. For me, it was not justice in that situation. That I started with pterygium and with a ball in my eye.
With a stye.
Yes, and I also with photophobia. I started with photophobia after my LASIK laser surgery.
The LASIK surgery, yeah.
Yes. Everybody used to tell me that it was because my eyes were green, light eyes. But no, I had previous the surgery, I had no problem with the light, the sunlight. So I wanted to mention it because it has been important for me to hear you.
Okay, and that of course can change with all the practices and the emotional understanding. And Maria, you also wanted to say something?
I wanted to add that you can create keratoconus by rubbing your eyes.
Yes.
But I started having conjunctivitis, and I made them worse by rubbing my eyes.
Yes, so you don't want to rub your eyes. Yes.
So anyway, yes. It's going to cause a problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, both of you. And now some questions that people often ask about this emotional approach. Like they ask, what if the symptom is from birth? Well, guess what? When we are, before we are born, we are living in our mother's womb. And our mother also has emotions while she's pregnant of us. And I was born with strabismus and amblyopia and myopia. And when I spoke with my mother and how her pregnancy was, of course, that was not something personal with me. She was very happy to become a mother, but at that time there were conflicts in her job, and she was stressed with her parents and things like that. So I could understand why I was born with these eyesight symptoms, because I was soaking my mother's emotions at the time she was pregnant of me. So we can still have a look at the eyesight symptoms from that perspective when they are from birth now, or congenital. And some people ask, and what if it's genetic? Well, guess what? The most contemporary studies about genetics and epigenetics tell us that our genes are mostly switches that can be turned on and off. And what turns them on and off? Well, among other things, emotions. So even if it's genetic, we could look into what could be the emotion behind the symptom that has appeared. And they ask me sometimes, what if it runs in the family? Well, guess what other things run in the family? How you view life, beliefs, and ways of speaking, and emotions and attitudes. So it could be, if there's plenty of people that are nearsighted in the family, that there's a lot of fear in the family, or a view of the world as a dangerous place, or something like that. So the good news is that if it has been running in the family and you change it, you change it for yourself, you become a leader for the future generations, and then it doesn't have to run in the family anymore. And you become also an inspiration to the previous generations, or your siblings, etc., and they can also change it. Yeah. Sometimes people ask, how about for children? Children are not confronted to terrifying situations. How come? They're usually happy. They don't have these other emotions. Well, that's what it looks like for adults, maybe. But children also can be worried. They can also be angry. They can also be sad. And in some families, there's space for those emotions to be expressed. But in some other families, there is no space for those emotions to be expressed. And also, kids up to 7-year-olds, they're an emotional sponge of what is going on in the family. So maybe when it's about children's symptoms, the issue is not in the child's life, but in what's going on in the family life at the time. Yeah, so that's interesting to look at. Now, what about if you don't remember? Well, if you don't remember, I don't think I mentioned this today. In the research I did with Dr. Anita Meidani, we noticed that over 80% of people's eyesight issues come at a time when they're living something with stress. Actually, 82%. And they would actually spontaneously mention it when we were doing the research. Now, there's a 6% extra of people that would say, nothing particular. My father died. I cannot see what must have happened. I got fired from my job. Or no, nothing weird. We moved into another country. So it's interesting. They don't give importance to it, but they mention like among the 5 most stressful events that a person can live. So if we add them, that's 88% of people that actually were living something stressful at the time when their eyesight declined. And for the 12% remaining, we cannot be certain. Maybe something stressful happened, but they forgot, or which is actually a psychological defense mechanism, or maybe nothing happened. Okay, so if you don't remember, if you're part of that 12%, well, if you have elders that are still alive, you could ask your parents, you could ask your elder brothers or sisters, you could ask your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, and maybe they can give you some ideas, they can give you some insight, you can talk about it, and you can find what may have been behind. And if you don't find anything, even doing this exploration, well, don't worry about it too much, because the eyes are the mirrors of the soul, and as you're doing the other exercises and practices that you're learning with us, you may get the insight afterwards, or you may solve it differently, which is also okay. And I see Juliana saying, I'm very grateful to come across your work. This is extremely valuable for all the work I have done in my life. Yay! Many emotions coming up now, and yes, it's all connected. I'm so happy that you're noticing the connections, and this is going to be very helpful for you to see clearly again, inside and outside, both. Okay, so I would like to know what you took away from today's lesson, from today's live. There's been a lot of value, a lot of information. Juliana was already expressing it. And if you want, you can type it in the chat, or you can write it on your notebook. But at least I want you, for yourself, to think about what were some aha moments, some takeaways, some enlightening connections that you may have made as we were talking about all these symptoms. And maybe you have symptoms that we haven't talked about, but you can still think about the symptom translation technique, when it happened, what was going on, and what may be the meaning of the symptom, and it will give you some hints. Yeah. So when I was already talking in the previous live, I asked the people present, both in Spanish and English, what people felt was the value of what we had shared already with the first 2 lessons. And a lot of people were like, oh yeah, you've already given me $300 worth of value. And that was already in lesson 2. And with lesson 3, we gave you even more value, and we're going to keep giving you more value in the free 4-part masterclass. Yeah, Becky's saying, whoa, so many things to think through. All of my symptoms make so much sense. Yay, so happy for you that you have realized that, and then you can let go so much and see more clearly inside and outside. So I'm very happy that you're seeing the value, and if you want even more, we have more for you. There's more coming, yes? If you want to improve your vision in a lasting way, we have more for you, because tomorrow, video 4 is going to be released. And in video 4, you're going to learn even more valuable stuff. We're going to talk about the 6 scientifically validated levels to improve your eyesight and vision. And you have discovered already 3 levels. We've talked about the physical in lesson 1. We talked about light and energy in lesson 2. We've been talking about the emotional level in lesson 3, but there's 3 more to discover. One of them is nutrition, which of course you know, when what you eat affects your health. Yeah, but there's 2 more, and I'm not going to tell you now because they're surprise, because I want you to watch video number 4 because it's full of valuable stuff in there. Yeah, and also with video 4, we are going to open the registration for the ClearSight Method Advanced Program. You've heard a lot of the students that have come to share their experiences, and they are basically already training to become vision coaches, but they went through the ClearSight Method Advanced Program, and they also got huge benefits from it. So if you want to be one of the people joining the ClearSight Method Advanced Program, from tomorrow onwards, you'll be able to do that. We'll tell you all about it. We'll tell you about the 6 scientifically validated levels to improve your vision, how to install your daily habits to see clearly again. We'll tell you all the details about the ClearSight Method Advanced Program, the benefits, the stuff you get, all the support. So there will be me, my team, the community, the coaching, the in-depth processes. We'll have bonuses for you that you'll discover tomorrow as well. And we'll tell you also how to register, and a lot more. So I'm seeing actually people saying, like, this has explained so much about my nearsightedness. My youth was full of so much stress. So if you want to go deeper, so we still have a lot for you in lesson 4, and there will be a live associated this Sunday. But for those who want to go a lot deeper and have more tools and more time and people to help them more, will have the opportunity from tomorrow on to join the ClearSight Method Advanced Program. And it does work for your symptom. We've explained today not 15, but actually 25 symptoms. And in the ClearSight Method Advanced Program, we have information about even more. So we can help you with your symptom. We can help you at your age, whatever it is. It works for kids until people 100 and beyond. Yes, I had students of all ages, and they've all benefited. It does work whether you've had surgery already, like you heard Ainhoa had surgery, or Tirina had surgery. But if you've had issues afterwards, we can help you with that. And if you want to avoid surgery, like you also heard Sirina, she avoided some glaucoma surgery, you can use the ClearSight Method for that. Yes? And so a question here, do you want to create the habit of seeing clearly every day? And I'm seeing some people that are asking questions about sunning. Well, we told you about that in lesson 2, so you can go and review lesson 2. Yeah, you can do instead of with the sun, with the clouds, or with the sky. Yes. But if you want to create the habit of seeing clearly every day, we can help you with that. Imagine when you create that habit and you're seeing better and better every day. You're doing the things as easy as brushing your teeth, but for your eyes that make you see better and better. How will you feel seeing clearly again? How will you feel making it a daily experience? And not only how will you feel when it's true at that time, but imagine how will you feel a year from then, or 5 years, or 10 years later. Most people, as age advances, they get worse and worse eyesight. Until they have to have surgery from cataracts, they have presbyopia, or they have macular degeneration, or they lose in a way or another, their eyesight. But if you learn this information, you don't have to go down that road. You can see better and better every day, like the people you've been hearing from. How will you feel when you are able to do that, having better and better eyesight, and how it will impact your family? How will it impact your family to be inspired by you when you become a leader for them, showing them the way to better eyesight, to clarity, or just because they don't have to take care of you and you're not a burden because you can see with your own eyes and you're not dependent. So this is impact for you, but also for your family and for generations to come. So if you're interested in that, pay attention to video number 4 tomorrow. And also the other question is, what if you do nothing? How did you feel 2 weeks ago? How much better do you feel now? If you don't do anything, you probably get back into a place that is not very nice. So my invitation is to pay attention at video number 4 coming tomorrow. And I'm going to ask you one more time, are you interested or engaged? If you're engaged, you will want to watch video number 4, take advantage of all the information there, and you may want to join the ClearSight Method Advanced program with all the benefits to participate in the in-depth process to make your eyesight clarity a permanent change. Yes, so I have good news also. Tomorrow with video 4, we're going to give you a great offer. The ClearSight Method has a price that is announced in the website. And because you're engaged and you have been practicing, you have been coming, you've been watching the videos, you've been coming to the lives, you've been doing your steps, the offer that we're going to make you tomorrow is very interesting. It's about half the price of the regular standard price for the ClearSight Method. So you'll want to check it out. Yes, congratulations for having been here today. Pay very attention at your email because there we're going to share all the instructions to watch video number 4 so you get all the benefits from it. So this is it for today. I'm very proud of you. You were here until the end of lesson number 3. Tomorrow, lesson number 4 starts with video number 4 with a lot of amazing value still, whether you join the ClearSight Method or not. Discover those 6 levels scientifically proven that you can use to improve your eyesight naturally. And if you want to join us for group number 9 of the ClearSight Method, you'll be able to do so tomorrow. So see you tomorrow in video number 4. And in the meantime, take care, be happy, enjoy the beauty of life, and I'll see you in video 4. Bye-bye.